The weekend is finally here. Good morning, everyone. I'm LaDawn Davis, and this is a morning edition. And as always, it's so great to have you in our company. Some mild temperatures on the outside this morning, but for more on your weather outlook for the week, here's Chief Meteorologist Basil Dean.
This weather report is sponsored by Bank of the Bahamas, the bank of solutions.
Good morning, LaDawn. The mild temperatures continued, but we do have some patchy clouds over the central Bahamas and some broken stuff over the extreme southeastern part of the country. And that's courtesy of a little trough in that area. Outside of our studios, we have partly cloudy skies. Your temperature 73 degrees, relative humidity 83%. Easterly winds at 9 miles per hour. The barometric pressure 1,018.4 millibars. That's 30.07 inches, and it is steady. Temperatures up in Marsh Harbor at 69 degrees, Green Tulkey at 69. Also in Freeport, they have 69 degrees. In the Berry Island, 73. Alistown, Bimini, 74, 73 in Harper Island. Roxanne, Eleuthera at 72, 74 in Otterstown, Cat Island. Stanley Key, 73. Also Kemps Bay, South Andros, and Fresh Creek and Central Andros, all reporting 73 degrees. In San Salvador, 74. Rim Key at 74 degrees, and that extends into Ragged Island, Clarence Town, Long Island, Crooked Island. Betsy Bay at 75, Ackland 75 degrees, Matthew Tiny Nagua also 75 degrees, and the Turks and Caicos Islands at 76 degrees. And if you're flying out this morning, well, here are some high and low temperatures you're likely to find at some of your favorite cities.
Come on. Gotta do it. Go back to the island, boy. Let's go. Wake up early one morning, kiss my mama goodbye.
And that's going to do it for your travel forecast. Now for your boating forecast for today in the Northwest Island. Well, as a matter of fact, for all areas, we're going to have easterly winds 10 to 15 knots. The wave heights 2 to 4 feet over the ocean. Tide-wise, it will be high at 11:33 this morning. Low tide taking place at 5:48 in the afternoon. And that's going to do it for your first look at weather, the morning edition. Stay tuned. Your forecast for today and tonight is still ahead.
Thanks a lot, Basil. Meanwhile, our Crystal Darling and the Morning Edition team is standing by with the Bahamas First traffic report.
The traffic report is sponsored by Bahamas First. First in insurance. Today, tomorrow.
Good morning, LaDawn, and good morning, Bahamas. We're here on the intersection of University Commons and University Drive. Now, as you can see from our drone cam, traffic has started picking up in this area. Although it's still a little bit dark out, we know that this is one of the busiest areas, especially going throughout the day with the university right behind us. Now, I'm here with Sergeant Cressinator Johnson, who's going to give us an overview of what traffic was like in the last 24 hours. Good morning.
A pleasant good morning to you, and a pleasant good morning, Bahamas. But we've had 14 accidents involving damages and 5 accidents involving minor injury. We've had no reports of hit-and-run accidents, which is actually excellent, and we have 15 persons who are still hospitalized after being involved in a traffic accident.
Okay, now we know from police reports that there have been a number of incidents with underage drivers. Could you tell us more about that?
Yes, well, let me start off by giving you examples. Just this week, we intercepted a vehicle that had an 11-year-old driving that vehicle on the highway, in the Tony Darling Highway area, just this week. And the vehicle was occupied by other teenagers, and these persons had a vehicle that was registered. It had an adult registered under that vehicle, under the road traffic, having the license plates and everything. So we know that an adult is the owner of that vehicle. We know that that vehicle is up to date, and yes, they were still utilizing that vehicle. Another situation that occurred again this week, we had a teenager who's operating a vehicle with no driver's license and not covered under the insurance, and yes, that vehicle was also registered to an adult. We also have at this time a 12-year-old who was hospitalized as a result of being struck by a 14-year-old who was driving a vehicle. So they are just 3 incidents that happen in a short space of time that involve young persons who are utilizing vehicles on the main thoroughfares, on the main streets. So yes, we have these incidents.
Okay, and so would you say that there's been an uptick in the amount that you've been seeing so far this year?
I can say this. It's been more reoccurring. This is happening frequently now. We see where these persons are allowed to use the vehicles. The parents or the guardians or whomever these adults are, they're allowing these young people to have control of vehicles. automatically. I can't even stress how important it is for individuals not to allow this to happen. I am disheartened at the situations that we've encountered, and I want to tell the general public, if you know of anybody who's allowing anyone who's underage, who does not have a driver's license, and who's not supposed to be operating a vehicle, if you know of this person, they're allowing these individuals to operate these vehicles, please bring it to the police officer's attention, bring it to somebody in authority's attention. Let's have this situation rectified. A vehicle is not a toy. It should not be played with.
Very good point there, and it is very disheartening indeed.
Yes.
Could we go into what are the penalties for? We know that underage children usually the law is more lenient with them.
Yes.
So could you tell us what the penalties are for children driving underage?
Well, of course, they have to go before the juvenile panel as pertains to having charges brought against them. But as it relates to these matters, you still would face the same acts that an adult would face. You'd be facing these charges as well, because once that panel decides that, hey, we're going to charge you, because it's intent, it's your mindset, and it's how you went about getting that vehicle. If you move the vehicle without owner's consent, yes, that is actually an arrestable offense. You're not supposed to move somebody's vehicle without permission. That's like stealing. So that is an arrestable offense. However, in these situations where these kids were given the keys and they were allowed to go, we're going to now hold that driver responsible for that vehicle and having that child in that vehicle. So yes, all of those you can face either being arrested or facing some major fine as a result of allowing that to happen.
Okay, so lastly, right before we wrap up, could you give us some advice? Give some advice to children and to their parents who may allow them to operate their vehicles on the road.
Well, right off the bat, we know that there are going to be times when you're going to learn how to drive. There are areas where drivers, like it's designated for you to learn how to drive. In those areas, you want to go into those areas after obtaining a learner's permit. At that age, at between 16 and 17, at that age, you're now able to get a learner's permit, and you're able to go in the sections in the areas where you are now trained to drive. I know we have the little vehicles, we have the bikes and stuff, the little power wheels and stuff that kids usually use. They have areas where they drive those. That's fine. Your bicycles on the side of the street, yes, and even bicycles are supposed to be licensed. Yes, they are too, and they have a license plate for that as well. So you want to do all of this in a safe area. You do not want to be traveling anywhere in the streets and doing any reckless activity that's going to cause you to be harmed. So yes, if you want to drive a vehicle, there are provisions made for you. So look into this and then find out, okay, what best suits you and have that done for you. So yes.
Okay, thank you so much, Sergeant Johnson. Thank you for that. That's some very good advice. Remember to pay attention to your children and pay attention to your vehicles and always know where they are. Now, that's all we have for traffic this morning. Back to you in the studio, LaDawn.
Thanks a lot, Crystal. And still to come, what changes are being made to the cruise industry due to the threat of the coronavirus here at home. So keep it locked. Welcome back to the Morning Edition. The Braemar cruise ship carrying 5 persons who have tested positive for the COVID-19 coronavirus will have to sort another port to dock. The ship will not be permitted to dock here in the Bahamas, and passengers and crew will not be allowed to disembark. Now, the government says this decision is based on consideration for the protection of the health and safety of Bahamian people and residents of the Bahamas. However, if the ship arrives in Bahamian waters, the Bahamas will do all it can to provide humanitarian assistance, including providing fuel, food, water, and other supplies as needed by the vessel. Meantime, cruising remains big business for the Bahamas and pumps millions of dollars into the local economy. But while COVID-19 is creating an intense moment for that industry, one company is counting on its passengers to continue cruising. Makush Lapinda reports.
New cancellation policies, new procedures, COVID-19 forcing one cruise line after another to alter their plans, all in an effort to minimize the possibility of the virus cruising the high seas with its thousands of passengers. So far, Royal Caribbean Cruises has been one of the lucky ones. You see, though feeling the fallout from its European market, RCL's Vice President of Government Relations for the Americas, Russell Benford, says the Caribbean market is still holding strong.
We have cruises that are operating every single day in the Caribbean. You know, the market remains really strong for us in the Caribbean, and cancellations have been low. So people are still traveling to the Caribbean. They're still cruising to the Caribbean, and we're doing everything we can to be responsive and responsible to our guests and to the people in the countries that we visit.
Now, one of RCL's ports of call in the Caribbean is Jamaica, who has reported 2 COVID-19 cases. Benford says at this point that island remains on the cruise line's schedule.
You know, tourism industry is very important to the people who work in that industry. So it's beyond really just a vacation for our guests. You know, for a lot of the heads of state in the Caribbean, and certainly I'm sure here, it's about the well-being of the economy. There's a balancing act. We want to make sure that we're responsible health-wise for the people that are here, but we also want to keep people employed, keep people working, and keep the business going.
RCL officials recently met with Health Minister the Honourable Dr. Dwayne Sands to discuss the requirements here in the Bahamas and the company's precautionary measures.
Every single person who boards a ship, whether they are a guest or a crew member, we take a temperature reading. If their temperature is high, they go on to a secondary screening, and if they do not pass the secondary screening, those folks are not allowed to board the ships. We have increased the number of doctors on our ships. We've increased the number of nurses on our ships. So we have a full medical staff, and just last Saturday we met with Vice President Pence in South Florida and in Fort Lauderdale, and he asked us for a plan to step up, you know, our safety measures on board ships, and we submitted that plan to the Vice President yesterday. They're reviewing it.
RCL is giving its customers the leeway to cancel up to 48 hours before their scheduled cruise, waiving all the change fees. There's the option to reschedule up to 2021. For the ZNS News Network, I'm Makush Lopinder.
In Grand Bahama, a local charter and tour company is feeling the pinch as the rising threat of COVID-19 continues to grow around the world. However, the company is doing its part to not only ensure the safety of its employees, but also visitors to that island. Here's Jamila Mizik.
Fear surrounding COVID-19, also known as the coronavirus, continues to shake up the tourism industry worldwide, and here on Grand Bahama, it's no different. One of the island's leading tour operators, H. Forbes Charter and Tours Limited, is also feeling the impact. Owner Hedley Forbes says, since the announcement of the deadly virus, there has been a decline in business.
We had a lot of cancellation, and still cancellation. In fact, just this morning, one of our suppliers says they had 2,000 plus people to be coming on their ship, their next sail, and they get a cancellation of 700 just this morning. This is the first time in 52 years I've been in business I see such a drastic change. Like overnight, things come to where it is today.
Forbes says he believes the virus will affect economies around the world and it is not good for business. However, he says now is not the time to panic or give up hope.
Tourists is our #1 industry. We can think about panicking by saying this one can't come, the other one can't come, and the next one can't come, and we are not in that position to pick and choose. But we must take the precaution that the authorities put in place to protect ourselves and by extension protect our guests.
Forbes says they continue to pay close attention to reports and know that since they work in a touristic environment, it can happen at any time. However, he says they are taking the necessary precautions to ensure the safety of staff as well as guests.
Every time we pick up a guest and deliver that passenger to his destination, we re-clean the bus again before we put new passengers in the bus. Every bus has a kit with everything in it for them to minister this to the seats and the floor of the bus.
Jamila Mizik, ZNS Network News.
The government's plans for any potential impact of COVID-19 explained to Exuma residents during a town meeting on that island. Concerns over the upcoming budget were also discussed. The event was part of an ongoing mission by Prime Minister, the Most Honorable Dr. Hubert Minnis, to keep family islanders up to date on national issues.
I want to hear from them what are their 5 priority items in terms of the budget. Now, they must take into consideration that we were hit by Dorian, and therefore 2 of our islands in terms of their economic structure was somewhat disturbed. And we're now faced with the world problem with the coronavirus, and therefore our economy may be somewhat depressed.
Meantime, the Bahamas Christian Council is touting its recent meeting with the Minister of Health as a success, and as a result, the congregation and various churches can expect to see some changes in terms of communion and how it is administered. This process is expected to be in effect for at least 2 months. And still to come, many job seekers turned out for employment opportunities on the high seas. You're watching The Morning Edition. This morning, we're learning more about the reasoning behind the decision made by the Bahamas Christian Council on the usage of marijuana. The council says it does not object to medicinal marijuana if properly regulated, but could not support legalization. President Bishop Delton Fernandez on the council's research.
In our paper, we were able to pull some research from Colorado and California. I think the data is clear. Anybody can Google it online and find that these are 2 places that legalize medical marijuana. So not even the proliferation of the 1 ounce being penalty-free, but the medical marijuana and the illegal trade picked up. Not only did the illegal trade pick up, it picked up in the growing sense in that those people that were paying licensing fees, those people that were paying all the state fees, but then there were those who were paying no fees, and they were trying to supply, quote unquote, for medical laboratories for those who, quote unquote, had medical cards. And so not only did we see an uptick in illegal activity going on, and then those who were allowed to use it, the minors, because the whole society shift to a place where it was legal at a certain age to use medical marijuana, the young people felt, well, there was nothing wrong with using marijuana, and so it reached a demographic it was never intended. So when we pulled the data spoke to us. We are often accused of not having empirical data, so we decided this time to give you what you asked for. And here it is. Here are 2 states that legalized it and found that it had some challenging.
Bishop Fernandez says the council also sought views from the Caribbean.
There's also some leaders in the Caribbean who I personally had a conversation with at our Tourism Expo by way of our Prime Minister. He asked one of the other Prime Ministers to speak with me. And one of the questions I asked him, how is crime? And interesting enough, crime went up. Crime went up because you took an illegal trade and you removed it, and you acted illegal trade that didn't empower those who were working in the illegal trade. And so it just shifted. It shifted from the growing and the use of drugs to more visible crimes.
Well, job seekers will get the opportunity again today to seek employment in the cruise sector. Royal Caribbean is seeking Bahamian employees for a number of vacancies. The company's support and talent attraction executive, Cindy Williams-Johnson, on the vacancies.
We have a array of positions that we look for as we staff for each career event, and that can range from doctors and nurses to technical type positions to our water positions like our lifeguard, shore excursions, bar attendant, F&B type roles. So there are positions from A to Z that we offer. Our brand is about servicing our guests, and so for us, what we look for, number one, is your personality. It's someone who has great energy, a great personality. So we know, number one, when you get in front of our guests, you're wearing a smile with them and able to service them. Secondly, we look for the skill set, right? So we look for the doctors, anyone who has the medical background, the same with the nurses. If you're looking to get into food and beverage, we're looking for individuals who's worked at restaurants, who's done that type of work. So there are some criteria depending on the job that individual is looking for.
Royal Caribbean employs over 350 Bahamians and is hoping to increase that number significantly.
Our company does a lot with the community in the Bahamas. We have an eco-friendly community relations events. We help grow the schools and other community events around here. It's ideal to have Bahamians come and work for us because of the projects that we have here in the Bahamas. So they're from here. They know the culture. They know the area. They know how to provide the guests the service that we're looking for. At the end of the day, our brand is about servicing our guests and being number one in what we do. We look for great personalities, great energy. Bahamians have that personality that we love. They love to love on others, which is what we love to do with our guests. So it's just ideal in the partnership that we have.
While over in Exuma, the Music and Heritage Festival is in full swing. Charles Fisher has more from the opening and what you can expect.
A bit of cultural display by the local youngsters on the island as the 16th Bahamas Music and Heritage Festival got underway last night here in Georgetown, Exuma. It will be 3 days of intense cultural explosion. Bringing remarks was Island Administrator Ivan Ferguson.
The overwhelming success of this cultural event over the years has elevated it to the most spectacular festival on the social calendar of Exuma. It is a permanent feature on the economic landscape of this island and allows for friendly social interaction and camaraderie.
On hand to officially open the 3-day extravaganza was the Minister of Works, the Honorable Desmond Bannister.
We're going to see some exciting acts tonight, some wonderful Bahamian entertainers. I got to meet one of the guys who I admire so much, and I'm going to watch him perform tonight. So let's enjoy this tonight. It's a special time. And ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, because I don't want anybody up there to eat my cow salad, I'm pleased to officially pronounce this 16th Music and Cultural Heritage officially open.
A host of Bahamian talent will be on display over the next 2 days, starting here Friday night. For the ZNS News Network Morning Edition, I'm Charles Fisher.
And when we come back, the Morning Edition chats with one of Exuma's very own, taking us back many decades, so keep it locked. Contestants in many categories of the Miss Bahamas Galaxy Mentorship Pageant will be crowned on March 14th during the final preliminaries at the Performing Arts Center at the University of the Bahamas. But we want to share with you the impact this pageant is having on the lives of our young girls. We caught up with a few of the queens and the director to find out. It's not just any pageant, but one geared towards boosting the self-esteem and personal development of young girls and women. For nearly 11 years, director of the Miss Galaxy Bahamas pageant, Andrea Knott, has been on a mission to transform young Bahamian women into well-rounded citizens.
It is very important because even with self-esteem, I see that young girls who may be shy, when they come through this program, their parents are so proud of them because they're more outgoing and they speak much better to their audience or to their friends. So I see the growth that is very important in young ladies. We could still catch them at the age that they're at. And then for other little girls to look up to them and say, I want to be just like her. So, all of that interpersonal development, social development, etiquette, grooming, all of that is very important to young ladies. We have been successful with internationals because whoever win the pageant each year, we go off to Galaxy International Pageant. It has been held in Orlando, Florida for a few years, but this year, in July, it will be held in Chicago, Illinois. So I think it's quite interesting and enjoyable even for the parents.
Knott says thousands of young girls and women have entered and excelled in a number of categories within the program. The Morning Edition team caught up with a few of the queens to find out how it's proven beneficial to them.
I joined the pageant because from I was a tiny tot, I always loved pageants. I always loved big dresses and stuff and makeup. I also joined pageants because I always wanted to put out there that the young girls can always do things and that is possible.
I was always shy and I did not like talking to people at all. Like right now, I wouldn't be able to do this without joining the pageant because I was always camera shy and I had stage fright. But after I joined the pageant, I was able to break out of my comfort zone and learn to talk to more people.
To find a way or an avenue to give back. Volunteer, I've always wanted to volunteer, become involved in different organizations, and by entering Galaxy Bahamas, hoping to win, it's opened the door for me to do that.
Come Saturday, 12 young ladies will compete in various categories at the University of the Bahamas' Performing Arts Center. Knott says while she is pleased with the pageant's success internationally, she is more so optimistic about where it's headed.
Alexis Dean, she won the Junior Miss division in Orlando. And then we had Hallie Bow. She won the preteen division the year before in 2013, as well as we've had placements. The girls who are selected, we train them continuously until internationals and even afterwards. So I'm looking at it as being a pageant of growth. And even though if we don't have the talent within our committee, we always ask for those who are outside to help us.
All the best to those young ladies. From Georgetown, our Charles Fisher is traveling the Exumas and is meeting some residents who have quite a story to tell.
There is a saying that we are promised 70. We are going into the settlement of Curtis here in Exuma, where we will come upon a young lady who have surpassed that and many more.
S-year-old. I born in Oldville.
Which year were you born?
March 10, 1918.
So just what is her secret to longevity? 102 years?
God keep me this long because I used to work hard. And then I only got things to what I want. Career up in now, I can't get what I want. Things is better now and them days, because them days we just got to work so hard and think, and then you couldn't get what you want. It's like, oh, damn. We didn't know about the TV, we didn't know about the plane, we know about the mailboat, under the mailboat.
She had 4 children, 2 is deceased, 8 grand, 18 great-grand, 3 great-great-grand. Her son, 74-year-old Robert Roll.
In all her born days, upward to 2000, she was eating strictly from the ground. Cassava, potato, anything, things from the field. Now, since I came back home here to Sayville, she started eating some of my cooking, and, you know, I believe that can take out some of the years, but it won't take off much.
Still does straw work as part of her daily routine.
Yeah, I still go flat. I still go flat.
Who taught you how to plait?
My mother. My mother taught me how to plait. I can't do nothing now but there's a plait on little plait. But in days gone, I used to cut bush, weed grass, and all kind of thing I do. Plait, sew, bike, and hop, and everything. I can't walk, but I just could manage to hop around the house.
She just telling me now that, oh, Robert, the pain. I tell Mama, I say, Mama, you bring me here. I just feel pain. What you expect to feel now?
On a message to our young kids and the youngsters in the world today?
I tell them all they got to do, just live in peace, call on the Lord, and it's every week I wake in the nighttime, I pray for the Lord before I drop sleep again. Yeah.
Thank Thanks a lot, Fisher. Well, it's Entertainment Friday, and joining us live here in the house on the Morning Edition is Sweet Emily Williams. Sweet Emily, welcome to the Morning Edition.
Thank you. Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's so glad to have you back in the secular scene. What have you been doing, I guess, in the meantime?
Well, you know, I was here a few weeks ago. We were talking about the One Word Project. And, of course, I was doing ministry for the last 16 years. And just got that the answer to the prayer to just go back and to continue on in culture, to do the things that God had called me to do, just to help to bring awareness to culture, to continue to preserve culture, and to be one of those persons to be a forerunner in mentorship and helping others to be able to navigate through the music business.
Any upcoming projects for 2020?
Sure. I'm right now presently in the studio. I'm presently working on a new song, another single, and eventually I'll end up with an album and just continue doing what I do. I have some regattas coming up. I have Turks and Caicos. I have some stuff that is already on the slate, just ready to go.
What do you want to say to, I guess, artists out there up and coming?
I just want to encourage artists, you know, if it is something that you want to do, if music is something that you love to do and it's something that you have a passion for, you must have the passion for it. If it's something that you want to do, you know, just prepare yourself, invest in your gift, and if you invest in your gift will pay off.
And what are you going to be performing for us this morning?
I'll be doing the new song, Good to Be Back,
Right.
which was written by Fred Ferguson.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, Sweet Emily.
Ooh. I see it and I feel it. I listen to it every day. I hear it when they tell me that I shouldn't stay away. It's been a while since I've been gone. Yes, I'm the one who walked away, and I missed you too. Can we try again? It's good to be here with you. It's good to be back. I'm glad that I'm back. I'm happy that I'm with you. Happy I'm back. It's good to be back. Let's start all over. Here we go again. Confessions, conditions. Ooh, I'm standing on the witness stand. I need you like you need me. I'm happy that you understand. My mind is clear. I realize here is where I need to be. I'm glad you waited. Let us try again. Woo! It's good to be here with you. It's good to be back. I'm glad that I'm back. I'm happy that I'm with you. Happy I'm back. It's good to be back. I'm grateful and thankful and blessed to have you back. Let's start all over. Here we go again. Yeah. Woo. Oh, it's good to be here with you. It's good to be back. I'm glad that I'm back. I'm happy that I'm with you. Happy I'm back. It's so good to be back. I'm grateful and thankful and blessed to have you back. Let's start all over. Here we go again. Oh, it's to have you. Yes, I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy. Oh, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm grateful to be back. Here we go again. I'm happy to be here.
Welcome to sports, everybody. Despite the 242 being COVID-19 free so far, Bahamian sports still being affected. We can tell you that yesterday the National High School Track and Field Championships were called off. Some of the visiting coaches from Freeport, Grand Bahama and the Family Islands weighing in.
We were comfortable with the response from the director. We, first of all, support the director and his team and the decision that they made. There's no need for fare. We are comfortable at the hotel. The children have already paid their money to get here. They were excited about the meet already to compete. We know that Carifta is right around the corner. Everyone was excited. They're still in high spirits, though most of them wish that they were still able to compete.
I mean, so the athletes is quite disappointed. You know, a few kids cried about it. You know, but you know, that's something we gotta be very cautious about. You know, this is our health, and I think the minister did the right call in providing safety for our health.
A few athletes who were a bit disappointed as well. One of the things were that they were very eager to participate. It was a challenge for us, you know, getting over to Nassau, and the whole idea about this thing was to come here and to give a good showing. But we understand that precautionary measures have to be, you know, has to take place.
I have no problem with it being cancelled because it was done as a precautionary measure, and like Mr. Sweeting said, the students are disappointed, but they understand it's for their good.
With high school nationals called off, a press conference was held yesterday announcing all international travel for Bahamian teams has been put off, meaning the Bahamas won't be heading to the Carifta Track and Field Championships if they are still held next month.
You know, I have to take a deep breath when I respond to that, because we really was hoping that, you know, the Carifta Games, which is really the highlight of Bahamian track and field at the national level and regional level, is certainly something that we were looking forward to. But if you look at the trend, I think that they are responding to the World Health Organization's recommendations, and obviously, if we talk about community spaces, then we're looking at regional community spaces. Jamaica has canceled its boys and girls champs. So I think you got to wonder whether this is more hysteria than managing. But I've spoken with the organizers of the Carifta Games in Bermuda, and Donna has indicated that all systems are a go. They're still planning for the event, and they're hoping for a successful event. So in the worst case scenario, if the event is to be postponed, the Carifta Games, I don't know if there's ever been a time in Carifta history where that has happened. But I would like to think that there wouldn't be a cancellation of the Carifta Games, provided that countries show up in goodly numbers. But failing that, the alternative would be that perhaps consideration would be had to delay the games to perhaps closer to the summer months.
Staying fit is definitely a healthy way to live, but with COVID-19 concerns lingering, gyms become a source for high contamination. Our sports team stopped by MacFit 360 to see how they're dealing with the situation.
We have high sanitation practices. We have disinfectant wipes throughout the gym. We have also sent out an email blast to all of our clients, you know, updating them on the coronavirus, just reminding them to bring their towels, bring their own personal hand sanitizers, and just being mindful when they're in the gym. If you're coughing, sneezing, make sure, you know, use your elbow, wash your hands regularly, and like I said, bring your personal hand sanitizer so that you can make sure that you're keeping yourself safe, wiping down the equipment before and after use, and that's something that we've been doing before this coronavirus even came about. It's something that we are very, very high on here at MacFit.
All pro basketball players in Europe being affected by COVID-19. Michael Carey Jr. recently signing on with the Pulley Foxes in Switzerland. Jerron Kino Burrows has been in France for a while, now playing with Aymorine. As for fellow national team player Willis Mackey, he's in Spain with Carballosa.
The first thing that was said to us was a week ago about that the Swiss Basketball League was postponing the games for 2 more days, but our Americans, you know, just literally left. I was supposed to fly back to Miami, and I told them to divert my whole travel plan and just send me straight back home, man, because I don't want to risk anything. they're going to stop the league until April 19th.
About 4 days ago, they came out and said that we're going to play our last game Friday, and then after that, they will be shutting down the league for 2 weeks. Now, after the NBA and the EuroLeague and the NCAA shut down, they canceled the game, and we basically on standby until the end of the month. And then at the end of the month, they'll reevaluate. But it's a tense situation because a lot of the foreigner players want to go home. A lot of the leagues, other leagues have already canceled the league for the season. So right now it's just a waiting game to see, do we come back in April and finish, or is the season done? Just taking it one day at a time, trying to take the precautionary steps of using the sanitizer and just kind of staying inside as much as I can. And we just waiting on news day to day.
Our coach just told us as of right now the next 2 games are canceled. And as of right now, practice is canceled until further notice. He said we're going to check his situation again on Monday. The thing is, our arena is the ones that's closing everything down too. And obviously everything around here is slowly but surely like just closing. Like we have a big university here, they obviously closing down and everything. Also, they advising us to obviously stay in our apartments, able to go to the store, stock up on some food, and just chill here. But other than that, they're telling us not to leave, don't go to no clubs, don't go to no bars.
COVID-19 also dealing a big blow to the NBA after Utah Jazz big man Rudy Gobert tested positive on Wednesday night. The league was forced to step in and suspend the season. Teammate Donovan Mitchell has also tested positive, and more tests are now being done around the league. At the outset, a 2-week window seemed like the best-case scenario to get back up and running, but sources now say the NBA will go on a 30-day hiatus with the unfortunate expectation that it will last even longer than that. Playing in March Madness is the pinnacle for student athletes who compete at the Division I level. So far this season, one Bahamian had realized that dream as Charles Bain and the Robert Morris Colonials clinched the Northeast Conference's automatic berth to the NCAA tournament. That joy was short-lived, though. Late yesterday, the NCAA announced that the rest of its winter and spring championships have been canceled due to concerns surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. With that call by the NCAA, its Division II National Swimming Championships came to a screeching halt after just a day and a half. Devontae Carey and McKendry still able to win the men's 200 medley relay. They set a new facility record in 1:25.29. Carey got it going on the opening leg, clocking 21.45. The Bahamian also swam the 100 butterfly prelims yesterday, along with the 400 medley relay. Jared Fitzgerald also at those championships, swimming for the Tampa Spartans. He swam the 50 free on opening day, then came back yesterday for the 200 freestyle and the 400 medley relay. Back here at home, the Bahamas Lawn Tennis Association deciding to go ahead with its final set of Davis and Fed Cup trials this weekend at the National Tennis Center. Jacoby Bain, Rodney Carey Jr., and Marvin Roll trying to secure that last spot on the men's Davis Cup team beside Justin Roberts, Kevin Major Jr., and Baker Newman. Roll and Carey go head-to-head today starting at 1 p.m. Bain sees his first action tomorrow. On the ladies' side, Elena Mackey and Simone Pratt, along with Ulrika Russell, doing battle to see which two will join Carrie Cartwright and Sydney Clark on the Fed Cup team. Russell and Pratt kick things off today at 1. Like Bain on the men's side, Mackey will also have to wait an extra day before taking to the court. Police Month in full swing, basketball action taking center stage yesterday at the Anatole Rogers Gym. The headquarters Transformers dethroning the Support Stallions, winning big 36-17.
Just came out, we decided to execute. The game plan was to take the ball out of the point guard's hand, which is Freddie Lightburn, very established point guard in Government League and Night League. So we just decided to take the ball in his hand and let other guys try and beat us.
That's a look at sports. The morning edition comes back after this.
In our final look at what a weak high-pressure ridge will remain across the Bahamas, and that will produce some relatively light winds through the weekend. Meanwhile, that old surface trough is now pushed off to the south of the Bahamas, but still creating a few showers over the southeast Bahamas, including the Turks and Caicos Island. Front boundary pushing towards the northwest Bahamas, but we expect that to stall north of the area. Our forecast for today, partly sunny and a bit on the warm side. High temperature around 81 degrees, and tonight you're looking at a pretty nice night with near clear skies. 71 degrees for your low temperature, and your extended weather forecast 80s, low 80s, that is, right through the period. But we're going to keep those temperatures nice and comfortable for you during the nighttime. But very dry condition taking us right into Wednesday. But by Thursday of next week, it looks as though we might have some showers back enough.
Thanks a lot, Basil, and that does it for us this morning. For the entire Morning Edition team, I'm LaDawn Davis. Make it a great and safe weekend, everyone.